What's up, my fellow Fallen? As you can see by the title, today I'm going to show off some of my personal Race for Wool ideas. Some of them are far more developed than others, but this is kind of what I have so far on a few maps. And I'm kind of trying to think about which ones I even want to finish, and I figured it's about time I got this out. This map right here, it has a name that I'm probably going to go with, which is Frost Plunged. Well, that's an odd glitch. One second, now I'm just curious about this. Oop, that's not F1. Why is that? Nope, nope, 2, not F2. There we go. That is odd. This is like a standard platform. None of this is done, but this is definitely the most finished map I have. Standard 2-gate launch with a third if you happen to have a ref, which initiates the whole thing. You can tell when they're ready by the torches, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is a really straightforward Race for Wool map, similar to many you've probably seen if you follow Race for Wool. Uh, Standard starting area. None of the chests are finished. Like I want to change, like this one. I don't even remember why I put that there. It's like a bunch of fish. It's completely useless. Standard fence area. There is a descent, which leads down into cave areas. Some standard resource gatherings, uh, resources in general. Um, there is a wool area here. First wool, I guess you'd call it. It's basically a run into it. That cannon's useless at this moment. That's one of the changes I actually want to make. This is a resource area above. This map is very, I guess you'd call it more PvE longer. I do have one in mind that I haven't actually started yet that is much more PvP oriented. I mean, there's a lot of PvP. It's 16 size lane, 16 gap. That was pretty standard. Older, more people are moving in smaller directions though, but this one isn't. Another resource area. It's very spawner light, like I was saying before. Aside from at a few key areas, there are almost no spawners, and the map relies almost entirely on natural spawning. Uh, this wool is a fight through chambers, very PvE, very standard kind of first wool. So you fight through a sea of monsters, resource area, water travel. A lot of people kind of complained. I've done a few kind of alpha testing. I wouldn't even call this map beta. A lot of people complained about the length, so this is obviously subject to change with an area getting sliced out, but I do make alternatives that you'll see if you ever happen to play it. Now as you can see, there's some weird graphical glitches because this area is called the Dark Ascent. Now if only I could remember my name, reference. Now I need, basically, there's a bedrock ceiling up there that you can't see because it is way up there. And it creates darkness, a freaky glitch, really, because as you can see, the torches are the same. I don't know. The only way to really combat it is with light. I'm probably gonna sprinkle in light, but it's a standard kind of ladder, very PvP, but there is a slight twist in that there is this area. Now Obsidian, not originally. That was annoying to change because I designed it prior to that update, and that was frustrating. But so there's actually an alternative way, and basically it adds no benefit to travel through here. And in fact, why am I doing that? That's stupid of me. There. Okay, so it adds no benefit to the person aside from if they are getting really locked down, because it's much easier to enter. Standard traps, these aren't done yet either. Like I said, this is still very alpha. And see what that does. Did I even? Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, that was loud. But that TNT should have blown up. That begs the question as to why it didn't. Oh, oh, I know why. One derpy second. Oh, okay, of course I have TNT in my inventory. Why wouldn't I? Let me see here. That actually really should have blown up. I'm confused. That works, I guess. Although, it should have worked the other way too. That confuses me. It's actually been tested before and worked. Whatever. Moving on. Like I said, there's like standard supplies. All of that is subject change. I have never. This was my first ever attempt at a race for wool, and since none of my maps have been finished or really play tested that much, there's not really much to them. In fact, the only people who have seen this, besides you guys watching this right now, are the members of Cockblockers, because after Tom Shar, who is the host of Tom's Tourney, he had a server going for a while, and we played with them a lot. So, I'm getting some pretty crappy frames. No, see, I'm on a bad distance. I'll just have to live with it. It's just because there's a lot rendering on the map. I also have mobs turned off. Standard forest, not too long, not hard to traverse. You can actually run through the entire thing or go over the treetops. Whatever you really want there. This is a third wool. The second wool is obviously mostly PvP. Well, it's PvP oriented, but with a PvE option. Although the PvP is much more, what word do I want to use here? Encouraged. There we go. That's the easiest word I can think of there. This one is what really needs to be tweaked the most. The first wool is done. It just needs to be balanced in the difficulty with perhaps some spawners. The second wool is done minus a few changes. This wool is very subject to change. Perfect Harmony. The other ones, oh yeah, I already showed it. The Dark Ascent and Temple of Pain, which is also subject to a name change. That was interesting. Something fell, I guess. That was weird. Now this map is just standard areas. It's all lit up. It's obviously, I don't think I have this hotkey, and if I do, I don't know it. It's much darker in here. So mobs can spawn. Now, as you can tell, there is lava. As you can tell from the opening, there's ice and lava. And now this is a wool that may have a restriction. Basically, it's set up so that you have to go over all of these pressure plates without triggering them. And if you do hit them, well, watch out, because it basically causes some interesting things to happen. So as you can see, you don't want to hit these. Spilling of lava, and basically there's probably going to be a special rule set in this area, which will be after you cross through like this area, nothing will be allowed to be broken. Things can be, well, torches can be placed, but nothing can be broken. So basically, if you mess up on your jumping, you are forced to retreat and get a fire resist potion, which you would otherwise be unable to obtain. And you ultimately, like I said, it's not a very long thing. The rest of this is very PvE run-throughs. I'm not going to bother showing the entire thing because I don't want to show the entire map. Also, this is a very odd glitch. Look at that. Look at this. See? I'm still no-clipped. I don't know. It's just like a world edit thing. I always found it weird. Yeah, and it all ultimately leads. There's also a PvP section. So there's a lot of PvE, slight skill base, slight parkour, which might be extended. The PvP section will probably be reduced. This was an accident, but I like it a lot. It's quite funny, and it doesn't update the wool, so there is no penalty for opening it. So that's a fun effect. Yeah. That is basically all I have of this map. There are a few more after this. Slightly more original. This one's kind of standard. There's probably going to be a trap right there. That's what that's all about. Like I said, this is still very alpha. So I'll be right back, and I'll see you guys on the next map. Okay, guys, this is my second map, which so far this isn't even alpha. I mean, this is nothing. This is kind of a concept idea, which I started it because I came up with the idea by myself, basically. And I started building it. And then I later found out that apparently someone was actually doing something very similar. This is a Twisted Desert is the temporary name or possibly potential name for the rest of the foreseeable future. And I started it. I got about this far, and then I started talking to someone, and it had turned out that someone had actually attempted to make a Twisted Race rule, or they did. Correct me if I'm wrong if you happen to know. I don't remember who they said that they thought was doing it, but they remembered they had seen it. I don't really follow a lot of stuff on the MC Tourney subreddit, so. But this is what I did make before I kind of got discouraged. I will probably still finish it, even if it isn't the first. There's no reason not to make it. It's still a pretty good concept. This is basically the starting area. I had moved it originally. It was right there, but I decided to actually change that into something else. Like I said, this is all very pre-alpha, in fact. And so you'd kind of fall down into here, which would obviously be deepened, and then their starting supplies would actually be over here, but there is also a bridging area here. And the thing about the bridging area, as you can see, it's color coded. This would be gone in the final version, but yes, so the colors correspond. So the orange there, that is where they would be, the opposing lane, and the little purple there, that would be there, and the light blue, so on and so forth. All the way around, it spirals out. And so the starting area actually has you shooting at the bridge there. So key positions to lock down are actually at much different parts in the map than normal. So it's not just a straight thing. So it kind of adds a lot to the ability of the player, the plans that you would make. Because to lock someone down, for example, on this area, which obviously looks very PvP oriented, as you can see, the enemy has to run very far, but the person defending it, your team, doesn't have to go nearly as far to even get to a defensible position of it or even try and take it down. But to stop them from doing it, you'd have to be much further away. So it kind of adds a more of a speed dimension, much different planning. You can still stop things. I'm also thinking of making things. Tom Shar has actually seen this map. He helped me with some ideas, and one of his ideas was actually to set up. You'd set up like monuments, posts, and you could actually try and ender pearl across the lane. Of course, it's your risk, because if you land in the wrong lane, which would be pretty obvious, or miss, you're then dead. So you kind of sacrifice materials. But basically, your goal would be to hit a landing area. That's kind of up for grabs. Other than that, I don't really have much else here to show aside from my crying creeper, which I like, which you may have noticed. He's very sad. That is really it there. I might as well show this wool area. That wool area is very heavily parkour, basically. And there will be chances to do things there. It's still very up for change. I don't know if I'm gonna allow block placing. I know, I'm not necessarily one who hates restricting the player, because I feel by restricting the player, you expand your horizons. But obviously, it's also bad to restrict people in the respect that they probably won't really want to play your map as much if it has so many conditions. So that probably will not necessarily be will not be restricted. So I'll have to come up with a few things. Although, like I said, for example, the third one in my last thing, if I don't restrict the player, well, all they have to do is remove the pressure plate. Well, they can't remove the pressure plates because the lava will fall. I mean, they just have to drop gravel over the lava and just gravel through. I mean, that'd be all they would have to do. And you could obviously try and break through obsidian, but if you broke through the obsidian, one, it would take a while, even if you not with the diamond pick though, but after you break through the obsidian, there's then other things that stop you, such as random bedrock and silverfish. So there are ways to do it without technically restricting the player, but basically restrict them. This one's a very kind of PvE temple. Basically, what you do in here is you rise up through it, and there are altars. This was kind of after I had seen Uncivil Engineering, and it made me think about this. And what you have to do is you have to put torches on all of the shrines in the temples, and there are 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are rising temples, and you have to ascend through this. Not done yet, but there will probably be lava in here, so you can't just dig up into them, and spawners and other fun things, which ultimately lead you up into this thing, which there can be a PvP aspect, because even if you're rising up through them, there are still chances to shoot them as they ascend to the next things. It goes up pretty high, I think. Let's see how high up we are. Yeah, we're just above the old block height limit. I wasn't really going for any specific height when I did it, so go away. Oh, that's F4. That's probably why. This will obviously be closed, but there's also torches. That would be wool. That was a test. This would obviously be closed. It's just a simple redstone thing. It's basically always powered. Wait, no. Oh, that's where it comes from. It's always powered, and what you have to do is that was the input. That's what that is. Sorry, I was trying to think. I haven't looked at this map in like geez, a month or two. That's the input for you where you press the button. It's always powered from the things, and when you put the torches on it, see how that one's off? That was one of the torches we placed. And so you have to power all 4 of the things, which then turns the power off, allowing you to then power it. And of course, even when all the power is off, since the state never changes, it never drops any wool until you get up here. And then you get it, you press the button, you get it. And that's all for this wool. The other wool, like I said, is very parkour jumping. Let me think here. I'm trying to think of what I was setting up. I think I was setting up so that there'd be like a special rule if you had to run it prior without placing blocks. Well, even if you do place blocks, you could only cross gaps. So basically, it's very restricted in that you can't defend yourself. Although there would be no mobs spawning, so this is probably going to have to be changed out. Once again, this was prior to the bedrock change. So that would have to be substituted. Maybe at some points, or I would just rely on spawners. The third wool, I had never thought of yet. So I have yet to make that. But that is all I have for this one. As you can see, I started to run out of color, so I had to start making them rimmed. Yeah. But I will be back with the next map I have, which is even more alpha than pre-alpha than this. So see you guys in a second. Okay, this is my third idea, and this will be my last one so far. I had several other maps, but all of them kind of got scrapped. As you can see, this one is so alpha. I have yet to even delete all of the super flat chunks. I use super flat because it's quicker to delete, and I can actually use world edit. When I do massive chunk deletion without MC edit, on regular maps anyways, it will actually lag my game and crash it. And although it actually does delete it before it crashes, it's just too annoying. And this one is basically called, it's a divided race for wool. So teams are standard 4 people, but basically everyone picks a slot and they would fall in, and 2 people would fall into that, and then 2 people would actually fall down through these chutes, and then basically they are then permanently divided. And so basically these people down here have to go through the various tasks, and the things they do are very limited, especially in the early stage, because they won't be given anything, and you aren't allowed to do very much. I actually had to change a little bit, but basically they're stuck here, and you had to do things up there running through challenges and vice versa to make things easier or give access to certain supplies quicker, things like that. Then also at one point there would be a thing down here, so like there would be items given through these chests. I'm gonna create exchanges if I ever continue with this, where you put things in there and you press a button and would go riding down. So it's kind of like a way to transfer items up and down between the 2 groups, because they may be getting things required for the upper and kind of vice versa. So this is kind of a much different idea. I didn't know how much players would like it though, so I haven't really made much of it. I don't think I've mentioned this to even anyone in general, and no one has definitely seen it. I haven't even gotten around to this yet. So this is kind of all I really had to show for this. My basic idea was to limit it where they're kind of stuck, and then the upper person has to once again kind of go through a descent, and then you'd break the torch and it would release water for the person to get over because it would be lava there. And of course there are other more creative ways to do it that I won't restrict. If you can think of better things. Ooh, I don't like that. Yeah, there we go. I love that. It's nice, especially since I actually have my external mouse today. Yay. But yeah, so you'd release the water, and then there could be things, Because even if you do it a fast way, because basically for all the rooms there will be a fast way where you can do it, but then there will be another way that can lead to bonus items, which would be very beneficial. So basically you either choose speed or to be better equipped. And also down here, since there will be bedrock coming over and restricting, and once you pick your lanes, you're not allowed to switch between the top and bottom. So if you select a bottom trough, you are always stuck in the bottom. You can't switch out. Or maybe I will make a switch out system if, I don't know about that though. It just seems a little annoying. But so basically these people down here would always be able to PvP each other in waiting, and well, they're kind of waiting to slow each other down, because there might be, like, for example, a parkour section down here where you had to run through it while getting shot at by the people in the other lane, but once you get to it, you kind of release something very important for the people up above. Now this map though, see, basically I've been continually going in the same direction where the player is getting restricted more and more. 1 second, that is loud and obnoxious. There we go. The player's getting... What the? Why didn't you turn off? Oh, it is. That was just slow. Where the player's getting restricted more and more, because the only way I can do the things I think of anyways are by restricting. But I do have one other thing that I haven't started yet, but it is a very, it's a very PvP oriented map where resources, like trees, will not be given, so you don't even have the potential to make tools. It'll kind of be like a divided together, but with different challenges and a different layout. Mine will probably be much more linear, not branching out like it does like with the second one and such. It may be a little longer, but the goal of it will ultimately to be just as short. Like you would want not even a full day cycle basically, because I mean on divided together, if you get to another day, you're either both very good teams locking each other down very well, or you're doing something wrong. So that it'll kind of be the same way with that, where matches are supposed to be like 15 to 20 minutes, if even that. 13 would probably be an optimal, very good run if you're dominating. That's not what this is, though. I don't have anything for that. I do have some ideas. I also have another idea. These are just ideas where I don't have actual concept designs, but to create kind of an area where the player wouldn't be allowed to break blocks by hand, and instead they would be giving creeper eggs, and then you would have to use those to blast through the walls, and there would be other obstacles and things, perhaps of having to lead the mob through various things or something like that. Optimal explosion areas, blah blah blah. That's just a very kind of rough idea of something I thought of one day and have yet to see, and I figured I might as well get that out there, because if it comes out before I make it, hey, at least I can say, well, I thought it up first, or at least I got it out on video first, at least in concept form. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today, and until next time, stay classy. Also, tell me what you really want me to finish, what you'd really want to see if you like my ideas. Maybe if you have your own ideas, for example, for Third Wolves or something crazy, just opinions on how they're kind of looking, what you might like to see differently, all that other jazz. Yeah. Stay classy.